Hey, welcome back to another video on Yam Tree Productions. I'm Joshua, and today I'll be talking about the college application process. So a little bit of backstory before I start. I am actually from Jamaica. I came here a couple years ago, and when I came, it was right in time for senior year in high school, which meant that I needed to apply to universities. But being from another country, I had no prior knowledge of the application process, so I had to learn and I had to learn fast. So today I'll be sharing with you some tips on the application process. So first of all, one thing to consider is that all these applications, there's a cost attached. Most of the schools that I applied to, it required a payment. But in some states like North Carolina, they allow you to apply for free. Some universities do this in a week in October. So if you're living in North Carolina, you might want to check out cfnc.org. That's cfnc.org because they will be posting the list of universities and colleges that will be participating in that week where you can apply for free. And for persons who are in other states, I would suggest asking around and looking up if your state also participates in this. Another thing to look out for, you also need to check each university's requirements because some might be different. So there's a document aspect to this, and then there's also an academic aspect to this. For the document aspect, they will ask for social security or other form of ID, so you need to be ready for that. And also for the academic aspect, they might ask you for a teacher recommendation, so you need to have an idea of teachers that you know who know you well and are willing to write a proper teacher recommendation letter. And also, they will ask for your transcript, so you need to know how to access that. And there are also test scores, so you need to look out for if they ask for the SAT or ACT, and also which score is accepted. When I came, I didn't know the difference between SAT, the official test, and SAT subject test. So when I took the subject test, some of the schools were saying like the official test is missing. So I had to then prepare for the official ACT test. So that's one thing to look out for if your school requires the official ACT or SAT subject test or whichever one. That's one thing to look out for. You also need to pay attention to the deadline of the application. So mark it in your calendars, and if you're using Google Calendar, you can share it as a link with your family or friends so that way you guys can be held accountable. So if you and your friend are doing a college application, then you can check in on each other to see if you're on the right track, if you're making progress. You can also allow someone to read your college essay because there are times when someone else might read your essay and they might pick up on a problem or a mistake that you didn't see. So that is a good thing to do. You can let your parents read it, probably a family member or a counselor, because there are some free resources around that we probably don't know about, so it's best to use them up. For example, the high school that I went to, they had a university liaison. So that person was associated with a particular university and they could help you out with what is required or how to access certain scholarships or websites for help. You also need to be careful if you mention the name of the university that you're applying to. Some schools might have a general prompt like, how have you overcome a challenge in your life? And probably there might be a few schools that have the same prompt and you may copy and paste the same essay. Well, you want to be careful in case you mention that particular school that you go in and correct it if you're going to copy it to the application portal for another school, because that's going to be confusing if there are two different school names for one particular essay. So that's all the tips I have for you today. If you have any more tips, feel free to share them in the comments so that other persons can learn from your knowledge and experience. And if you know someone who is going through this application process, you can share this video with them so that each one will reach one.